Hello, everybody. Happy Monday to you, November 24th, 2025. This is Kentucky Roll Call on Big X Sports Radio, 96.1 FM, 1450 AM. I am TJ Walker, joined in the other room by producer Matt Childress, and a lot of commotion going on in the hallway. Stephen Peak is in Lexington. He is covering Mark Stoops' Monday luncheon presser as they get ready for the Governor's Cup, Kentucky's regular season finale. And if they don't find a way to beat the Cards, it will be their season finale. No postseason at 5-7. Kentucky gets pummeled by Vanderbilt. I tried to tell you, hopefully you at least won a little bit of money on it. But I lost some on the I won some on the day. It would have been a lot more, a joyful betting day, if UK doesn't get that touchdown right there with 2 seconds left. I teased an over way up to 60.5 or 61 or whatever it was. And that last touchdown, that was the only bet in the game that I lost, and it cost me a little silly parlay. But I could feel a beat down coming. And I thought Vandy was going to play for style points, but more so if you can throw against this UK defense, you can put up points. If you cannot throw, they're tough to crack. It's hard to just be one-dimensional against this Mark Stoops defense. But if you can throw, especially over the top, you can put up some points. You see what Tennessee did. Sandwiched between dominant defensive performances. The difference was those teams could not throw the ball. Tennessee could throw the ball. And Vandy was the first team since Tennessee that could throw the ball. And Kentucky's a lot more banged up even since then. Not that that's an excuse for what happened on Saturday. That was just one team is playing for the college football playoff and postseason, and a guy that's putting up Heisman numbers and wants to make those Heisman numbers look a little bit better, and a defense that I did think was playing hard, but that almost makes it worse, right? I don't think they quit. It would have been maybe a little bit better if they were just like, yeah, he put up big numbers because they quit. No, they were playing hard. They just couldn't stop them. Couldn't do anything to stop them, and that's equally, if not more so, frustrating. Vandy did whatever they wanted offensively. For the majority of the game, Kentucky couldn't get anything going on its offensive side of the ball. Had some success there in the second half, but who cares? The game was over by that point. That was a total and complete beatdown. It was a big party in Nashville, and we, the Kentucky Wildcats, were the playthings. And that's Mark Stoops football for you. And I can't believe there's somewhat of a sentiment that's like, well, he's back. Just got to that was just not their night. What? I'm not there. I'm not welcome. I'm not automatically just welcoming him back to Lexington for 2026 because you beat a couple of teams that fired their coach or had fired their coach. You still haven't beaten anybody with a pulse this year. And I don't really even know if Louisville qualifies for that, but at least it would be
they do not.
A fan base or it'd be a team that the fan base could get excited about. And there's no debating that. And not that, probably be the Governor's Cup delivered with the least punch, I think. Yeah, you won the Governor's Cup. All right, cool. But if I'm a Kentucky fan, and I am, I want it. It's better than the alternative. If you're a Louisville fan, you'd rather win on Saturday than the alternative. So it's still a rivalry game, even though it's another reason why this cannot be at the end of the season. Move it to the beginning. Maybe Kentucky had it right with the third game. I like the first game. I think Kentucky had it wrong. I think Louisville had it right, and it should be the first game of the year every year. But another reason why it shouldn't be at the end of the year. Neither team really, really cares about it, although I do think Kentucky collectively as a unit is a bit more engaged because they were getting their teeth kicked in, and even on offense and defense, they were still fighting, and they did the same against Tennessee. I think that'll count for something on Saturday. Maybe it won't. Louisville has a bit more talent than UK. So things can kind of flip quickly in this rivalry, and they have. But it's one that doesn't have the stakes that maybe we thought it could. I don't know. Kentucky being at 5-6 isn't the most surprising thing in the world, but where Louisville has fallen certainly is surprising. So on today's Kentucky Roll Call, we're going to talk about Saturday a bit. But what more can you say? Vandy was significantly better coached, more prepared, better to adjustments in the game, and Kentucky became the wrong end of a highlight reel, unfortunately. I'm 34. That felt like some old school, when I was real young, what I saw with UK football. And then again, when I was in college during the choker days. Just not competitive. You knew early on. And even still, Kentucky had it a two-possession game where you're like, all right, you're going to go in at halftime down 2 possessions. That ain't good. But exhale. Maybe the ball will bounce your way. You'll get a pick six or a special teams touchdown. You'll get a lucky break, and who knows? Maybe you can weirdly make this game interesting. Nope, because that's Mark Stoops in the 2-minute, baby. And you know something goofy is going to happen, and something goofy happened. It's really entertaining once you just get past the frustration of it all. Vandy scores in like a blink of an eye, just going right over the top. Mr. Conservative, nothing over the top defense, and a 2-minute drill gets beat over the top. Not good. Not good. And then at that point, it's like over, and just for good measure. What? It was 42 points, I think, for Vandy in the second and third quarters combined. How does that happen? You're a defensive-minded head coach, and you let Vanderbilt, and it's not your older brother's Vandy. This is a legit good team that could win some games in the college football playoff. I don't think they'd win the national championship, but they're good in the trenches. That's where I think I was most impressed. And then, hate him or love him, Diego Pavia, he was really good on Saturday. And Kentucky secondary didn't put up too much of a challenge, but he made some professional throws. And I know there's a big conversation whether or not he's going to be in the NFL or not in the NFL. If I'm an NFL team, I'm probably taking a chance on him. Although, producer Matt, I'm probably saying keep your mom at home. Goodness gracious, I'm having PTSD of just envisioning her. Anytime I watch TV, I just think the camera, it could be like a non-sporting event. I could be watching Game of Thrones and just think at some point she's just going to flash up on my screen.
She was getting pretty wild.
It was not safe for work similar to Game of Thrones, I'll tell you that much. The skirt was a little higher each and every time. I couldn't believe, well, and you talk about this and you try to do it under the conversation of being nice, just like not being mean for being, like to be mean, and I'm really not trying to be mean. But I was surprised to see so many people were attracted to her. Producer Matt.
I mean, she's an attractive woman.
What? Okay, so was she? I did not find her attractive in the slightest.
I think it's a situational thing. Like
if I had been in maybe like an isolation situation for 4 decades maybe,
I think her popularity helps her.
Just because you show skin doesn't make you attractive, right? I don't want to be Danny Tanner here, but just because you're showing skin doesn't by itself make you, it may catch the eye for a split second, but then sometimes there can be too much skin.
You're not wrong. I'll agree with that. Like I said, I think it's like the popularity aspect where she's so known at this point that she's just going to draw more eyes. Like, I think that helps. It's kind of like being known by a lot of people is attractive to some people, if that makes any sense. I don't know what I'm trying to say. Like, if you were in high school,
okay, that's fine.
The popular crowd was more attractive to other people, even if they weren't conventionally attractive.
Do you mean, like, physically, or?
Because I think it's a mental.
Are you saying that she was?
I think it's a mental thing for some people.
Are you saying that she was more people may have thought that they were attracted to her because they just kept showing her, or
yes, because like kind of what's the word? Exposure therapy kind of thing.
Yeah, okay. I see what you're saying. I think it was just because she was not wearing a lot of clothes. Probably.
I mean that could be true. That could be true.
And the crew that was around her, I did like an ESPN late night thing last night, and I forgot that we were doing it, and I fell asleep when putting my kid down. This happens when you get older, producer Matt, where you doze off. So bedtime routine, we've got it really good for what it's worth. I wouldn't change this for anything in the world. But the 1-year-old, she's great. We get like all 4 of us go in there, read a book. Wife puts her down, and like with it, that's a 10 to 20 minute process. You can't really beat it. But it's just like we're all in there, and then I take the 4-year-old, say goodnight, and then the wife stays behind, puts the 1-year-old down, says goodnight, turns off the light, and then we meet in the 4-year-old's room for her bedtime. And 4-year-olds, usually when I hang back, not every night, but but we split it, I guess, or more nights than not when I'm not working, which seemingly is all the time now. But that room gets really dark on a Sunday night, producer Matt. And while you just kind of like sitting there after you read the story and you wait for the 4-year-old to kind of doze off or at least get sleepy enough that she's not going to bounce off the walls and whatnot, you can doze off a little bit. And I may have dozed off going into the ESPN late night thing. But and now I'm at the point where I've forgotten what even the point I was going to make that Andy Sweeney made. What were we referencing? Oh, Diego Pavier's
his
mom.
mother.
Yeah, I don't even know what Sweeney was saying about Diego Pavier's mom.
I saw she was there with Theo Vaughn.
Were they that? Oh no. Okay, so what he brought up about her was like she was around such a weird crew. Did you? There wasn't another woman in sight, was there?
I don't know. I only saw the only thing I personally saw of Diego Pavia's mom was the one where in mid game she was like straddling the railing or whatever, that like 10-second showing, but during a timeout, and I was like, is that Diego Pavia's mom? And then I kind of tuned out of the game after that because that was kind of after it was over. But
no, it was over pretty early on. But she had the weirdest crew around him. It was like it looked like just a bunch of like frat guys. I mean, probably some family, I would imagine. But every time, it just looked like she was like in a club. It did not look like that they were. It looked like they were like, let's go to the live shot at the nearest bar on Broadway, and that's the scene you would have seen. But no, it was just right there at the football stadium. And it was humiliating for UK. They just go to the game, and Vandy was putting up points, and then they'd go to the stands, and you'd see this old woman that needed to put on more clothing just dancing and doing more provocative dances each and every time. And then they'd go to the game, and Vandy'd be putting up more points, and they'd go to the stand, and she'd be shaking her butt. And it's just like, no, just get me out of this hell. And then most people that are normal and have normal lives, they can just turn off the TV and go be with their families or enjoy their Saturday. But then I have to do the post-game show, so I have to keep watching. So then it's just more zoomed in on Diego Pavier's mom doing kissy faces in the stand. And then they go back to the game, and then Diego Pavier's son, or the man, Diego Pavier, the actual person, he's just throwing another touchdown pass, and then he's doing the Heisman pose. And then the camera goes back to the stands, and then she's wearing less clothes somehow, and she's doing the Heisman pose in the stands. And the whole optics of it are weird because, like, this is your son, and, you know, that you're the mom. Like, yeah, I don't. But then they're scoring another touchdown, and the next thing you know, you're hearing people be like, well, I guess Stoops is back. And you're like, no! Get me out of this hell! It was hell on Saturday.
If that was a nightmare, I'd look up and see what the meaning of that is, but
it was real life.
Fortunately, it was real.
Tell me what the meaning of it in real life is. I probably need to get a real job, huh? That's probably what this means, I think.
Some of us need to make an honest living, TJ.
That's true. That's true. I'm jealous of how much fun she was having. Like, that was great. I know I really don't want to be, like, mean to her, but as a UK fan, it was incredibly frustrating.
Especially with how many people were at that game. I was like, I know it's not a long drive, but there was a good third of the stadium that was just blue.
It always is. If Vandy, it's a destination trip in the SEC, so that's not necessarily unique to UK. Although Tennessee brings the most fans, and then sometimes it could be Alabama, it could be LSU, it could be Auburn. It kind of depends on how their seasons are going. But Kentucky routinely will always bring a ton of fans to Nashville, and there's a ton of UK fans that live in Nashville or Western Kentucky or near the border where it's an easy trip. So there will always be a great deal of blue. But that was a sold-out crowd, and the difference is Vandy fans actually care. So it was a competitive ticket for a UK team that's not all that good and a Vandy team that's great. And then that stadium looks great. I know a lot of people were making a big stink about the atmosphere. Far too often, this fan base just gets hung up and caught up on the wrong things. Our football team was down 45-3 to Vanderbilt heading into the fourth quarter. I don't care if they have a good atmosphere. I don't care if they have a good environment. Oh, they do the fun things with the lights, and they were celebrating. Yes, and if Kentucky football is a top 15 team and they're beating an SEC rival by 42 points, I bet you we'll feel like the atmosphere is pretty cool too. You know what? I'll go ahead and guarantee it that we'll feel like that atmosphere is pretty cool if Kentucky's ever up 42 points on the verge of a college football playoff game and we're beating an SEC rival by that much. What are we doing? Why are we talking about Vandy's atmosphere? It looked great. I agree. The stadium looked really cool. I think that's another conversation, producer Matt, for like sizing down is not the worst way to, and not that, Vandy was ever going to get like a 80,000 or 100,000 seat football stadium, but like there's really no shame in having a smaller stadium if you have it rocking and it looks cool on TV. And most importantly, the product on the field, this is the biggest one, the product on the field's good. And Vandy is good. That was truly probably the best team I've seen in the trenches Kentucky go against all season. I don't know. Obviously, the Ole Miss and the Georgia and the South Carolina games are a really long time ago, but I was super impressed by Vandy. And let's not forget, Kentucky was playing well going into this game. They were incredibly banged up. I do think there was a little, not throw away the game, make no mistake about it, but I do think, hey, if this game gets out of control, the Louisville game's more important anyways. And sure enough, that came to fruition very early on Saturday. But that was a complete and total beatdown, and we should be pretty upset about it.
I mean, I think I have to agree with you. I think anybody should be upset. Coming from a Louisville fan who had to watch what I had to watch on Saturday as well, a little bit earlier in the day, I couldn't even have my casual hate watch of UK football. I couldn't even enjoy it. Like usually I'm watching U of L win, and then I'm like, oh, man, I really hope UK gets blown out today. I had to sit back in my chair and, watch UK lose and be like, I can't even say anything. I can't even talk because, like, you're right. At least UK showed some fight in their game.
And I really do like Cutter. Like, I like Cutter Boley. We have the bit on the post-game show that I'm a bully boy, and I am. Like, Kentucky's got to keep that dude in blue and white. And even though he didn't do anything of substance to change the outcome of the game or even to make it competitive, he'll still make plenty of mistakes. Make no mistake about that. Producer Matt, I'm a little worried that, like, the haters and losers, U of L fans that will, like, hate listen for motivation, they're going to hear me over the next few days rave about Cutter Boley, and then he could go out there on Saturday and cost UK the game, or he could have a couple turnovers. He will make mistakes. Make no doubt about it. But I love how he extends plays. I love how he just really kind of never gives up on a play. He stays composed. And, yeah, sometimes he'll do a little too much, but I'll take that over a guy who will wet his diaper and poo his pants and panic instantly and throw the ball away or tuck it and run or make the wrong decision. And he will make the wrong decision every so often, but it's usually because his brain's in the right place or his heart's in the right place that, hey, if I just hang out a little bit longer or if I try to squeeze this ball, it could be a touchdown. He really is a boom or bust player. He's got a little gunslinger to him, but he wants to win. You can tell that he's got kind of a competitive nature to him, just how he will take a hit in the pocket, bounce off his lineman, spin around, do the hokey pokey, and then stay in the pocket and then eventually, or go outside the pocket, but he'll complete a play. He's fun to watch. And if you're him, come on, insiders. We got to get, Roush was the only one, and this was back in like early October. Does Cutter Boley want to play for Stoops or not? It feels like too easy of a narrative depending. So if there is a pro Stoops crowd out there, or at least a Stoops is coming back and you just got to deal with it crowd. And there's also very clearly an anti-Stoops crowd of I can't do another year of this guy or not another year of this guy. And maybe the truth is that if he wins on Saturday, there really is no big debate, so why waste everybody's time and energy having to draw a line in the sand? But I'm just curious. I'm shocked that we haven't heard somebody from the anti-Stoops crowd say, yeah, I know. And by the way, Roush is not anti-Stoops. I don't know if he is or if he isn't. I don't know where he stands on that. But I'm just surprised we haven't had an insider say, behind the scenes, Cutter will leave if Stoops is back. He'll leave. And for what it's worth, Roush did have that little inkling of, yeah, he's not, there's some rumors out there, but that was many, many months ago, and things have gone pretty well for Cutter Boley. He's won SEC Freshman of the Week like 3 or 4 times since then. It's gone pretty well. So I'm also a little surprised somebody from the pro Stoops side hasn't maybe come out and said, he's enjoyed playing with Bush and the way that they need to get a couple more weapons. They need to get some wide receivers that can get some separation, but he's having fun. He's enjoyed it. He feels like he's really developed. I'm just surprised one way or another or both ways we haven't heard some narrative regarding Cutter Boley having a bit of control or at least a little bit of say in the future of the football program. Because I want to see that guy back in blue and white. Not to the point where I'm letting him make, I think I had that bit a week ago or 2 weeks ago, where you feel like he's giving valuable input on the coaching search, but he shouldn't really have a say. Let the adults make the decision there, the people that study this stuff, that get paid to make these decisions, not your redshirt freshman quarterback. However, you want to make him feel heard and make him feel valued. But if it were to be true that in Kentucky goes 5-7, you lose to a Louisville team that's given up, but Brom's just a better coach than Stoops, so he finds a way to win the game. You're 5-7, and it comes out that Boley wants to stay in blue and white. He's a Kentuckian. He's always been a UK guy. You see that he's a cute little kid, got those chunky little cheeks at Kroger Field or maybe even Commonwealth Stadium back then. No, probably Kroger Field. I'm getting that old, unfortunately. He probably wants to stay a Kentucky Wildcat, but UK's got to replace 4 offensive linemen. The offense is always questionable under Mark Stoops. So it gets out that he doesn't want to play for him. And then you keep Stoops, and then it actually, everything, your worst nightmares come true, and then he enters the transfer portal, in which case he'd probably go to a place that's going to throw a ton of money at him, which may very well be in the very conference that you're in. How are you selling a single ticket in 2026? I know I wouldn't buy one. I wouldn't take one. So I'm getting way ahead of myself with this scenario, but it's a very realistic scenario, right? Boley may not. Was your mic on there, producer?
Yeah, I forgot. I turned it off because I had to throw something away so I could still hear you. But, I mean, it's a very real scenario because Cutter Boley at this point is lightning in a bottle. You know, when he came in for Zach Calzada, the whole talk we always had was this guy lost to Zach Calzada in the offseason. So he might come out and just stink. He might come out and just be, if you're worse than Zach, I don't know what to tell you.
We got to see a little bit of money, get your money up, Garrett.
We did
see on Saturday.
Not in the way you kind of want to.
Only took 3 plays for him to throw an interception. It's just like, the more things change, the more they stay the same, Zach Calzada. It's like you never really left, huh? I will say, that first play, good on you, Bush Hamden, doing the old flea flicker and letting old Zach Calzada throw the ball 50 yards, and it was a good throw. J.J. Hester needs to catch that ball. Maybe a little pass interference, but that's also on Hester. Turn around, dude. If you just turn around and make it look like you're making a play on the ball, it's going to expose that defensive back even more. Instead, he's just looking like he's off in no man's land, having no business even catching the ball. And then at the last minute, he actually is still right there and even still should have had a chance to make that catch. I love the idea to do that. But then, 2 plays later, he throws an interception. All right, sorry to interrupt you.
No, you're good. I mean, it's one of those things where he is kind of the light at the end of the tunnel for Kentucky at this moment, where, yeah, the receivers have looked good in the past couple of weeks, and the defense has obviously looked good throughout the season, but we've seen throughout college football this year, if you're just like I like to hate watch Kentucky sometimes, if you're a Kentucky fan that likes to hate watch Louisville, you can see the difference in a great quarterback versus a not great quarterback. And I think we've seen that the past 3 weeks with Cutter Boley against Miller Moss. I'll go on a link. I was a person who was like, I don't know about Cutter Boley this year. 3 weeks ago, if you would have switched quarterbacks and Cutter Boley was on Louisville's football team, I think they win those games.
Oh, goodness gracious.
I think they do.
No, Cutter Boley on Louisville with Brom is more of what you're like. You've got to have a quarterback with Brom that can, not consistently, but the more consistent, the better. But at least every so often, connect on the deep ball.
Yes.
And Miller Moss just has no realistic prayer. He just gets picked off entirely too much. Cutter Boley and Brom's offense would be scary. Don't get any funny ideas, Vince Marrow. Clifford the big red dog. You stay away from him. You keep your big puppy paws away from him.
I wouldn't expect if the dog started barking here pretty soon. They got to make a change at quarterback. Do I think Cutter Boley would ever leave UK for U of L being a UK guy his whole life? No, I don't think so. But the point I'm making is you're right that Cutter Boley shouldn't have as long of a leash that he can just decide who the coach is going to be. You're a redshirt freshman. You haven't put up great numbers against a team that has a pulse yet. You kind of just beat up on some bad teams.
That's crazy talk.
But the ups, it's true.
No. I'm just saying, no, like it's crazy talk to think that you're just going to let this 19-year-old pick your coach. Yes,
but at the same time,
make him feel valued to a certain degree. But if he's going to say I'm transferring if Stoops is leaving, then that's a whole different conversation.
Yeah, he has the ability to kind of he's in the driver's seat, kind of. If he starts saying those things, you got to ask some really tough questions if you're Mitch Barnhart. If you let the guy go, you're just going to hit the transfer portal again, which you've kind of missed on the past couple of years, and you're going to put it in the hands of Mark Stoops. It's not a good look.
You can't.
You got to keep Cutter Boley if you can.
You can't do it. You have to keep Cutter Boley in blue and white. Now, what I'm a little bit worried about, and Stoops is talking right now, I thought maybe we would throw it over to him, but this has been a spirited opening segment, right? And we'd love to hear from you on the Game Day Men's Health text line 502-414-1450, 502-414-1450. Game Day Men's Health, they're redefining men's wellness. No shortcuts, just results. It's the holidays. Instead of packing on a few pounds during the holidays and then January 1st rolls around and you said, oh, man, things got really out of hand there the last month. Why don't you make a change right now? Testosterone, peptides, weight loss, sexual performance therapy. Visit GameDayMen'sHealth.com, defining a new era in men's health. Going back, by the way, the text line, I'm liking it. Keep them coming, by the way. Some people want to talk, maybe on the personal text line, want to talk basketball. We'll get into basketball. The big game, close win against Loyola Maryland over on Friday night. We'll be sure to break that down play by play. But what I'm a little bit worried about, producer Matt, is that you're going to have Cutter Boley get out that he wants Stoops back. He's coming back. And instead of spending that money on a Stoops buyout, he wants to spend it on Nil to get him some weapons. So everybody buy in. One more year. Let's do it. If they go 6-6, I won't be like crazy about Stoops coming back, and I won't think that 2026 is going to be this college football playoff 9-win, 10-win season. But I'll at least say, like, you won 6 games, whatever. Even if the majority of those wins aren't overly impressive, I'm not naive enough to believe that you were going to get fired for going to a postseason this year. You've earned the year back. But if they go 5-7 and they try to spin, well, Cutter wants to play for Stoops, and they're gonna buy into Nil again. I'll be excited about Cutter. I won't be excited about Stoops, and overall, I won't envision 2026 being all that great. So basically, it's a win. It's a winner. I'm going to be a little bit of a grump for Stoops, and not that he needs to get the sports talkers endorsement, but I do think the majority of the fan base is in a similar boat, that they're just over this. They just want something a little bit different. And Saturday, it was almost alarming how we weren't as embarrassed. You know, it was 45-3 after 3 quarters. That is humiliating. You don't beat the cupcake teams that badly. And most people were just kind of resigned to it. Just like, oh, yeah, it's a bad game. It happens. Whatever. I hope we beat Louisville. Or not. Whatever. This is not okay. IU is having a blast. Vandy's having a blast. Why are they doing it at these places and we can't do it in Lexington? And I just have zero confidence that it'll ever happen with Mark Stoops. So why don't we just rip the Band-Aid off and move on with it? 2023 would have been so perfect if Texas A&M didn't wise up. And then last year, if we were just being smart, it was all over after last year. It's just whether or not you're going to keep kicking the can down the road. And now here we are in 2025. How much longer are we going to keep kicking the can down the road? And I hate that the sentiment is starting that, like, well, yeah, whatever. That 3-game win streak really did it for him. No, he didn't beat anybody. He didn't do it for me. Shouldn't do it with anybody that's actually paying attention. So let's take our first commercial break. We'll get to some of your texts on the Game Day Men's Health text line. Mark Stoops is talking. Some interesting quotes that jump out at us. We'll be sure to relay, maybe even throw it over if he's still talking, but probably not. Producer Matt on the ones and twos. A little T-Pain on your Monday. This is Kentucky Roll Call. a little strong on Thanksgiving Monday.
Thanksgiving Monday, one of the busiest bar weeks of the year if you do that.
That's a good point. It is. Well, I guess Wednesday's the big one. What's it called? What do the kids call it?
Oh, gosh, I don't remember. I was never one of the people who could go out on Thanksgiving night because I get super sick when I go out and kind of go crazy at the bar. So, and Thanksgiving's my favorite holiday of the year, so there's no way I'm missing that. I wouldn't even
a
think
holiday or more of a celebration?
It's a holiday.
I don't know. It's maybe more
we
of
all
a celebration. For it.
It's a holiday.
Did you like the theme of the show tweet today?
I didn't see it.
I tweeted it. Well, that's okay. But I tweeted it out. My AI graphic, I said, make it Thanksgiving themed. Said Vandy dominates UK. Pavia's mom shown entirely too much.
I like it.
That's right underneath the turkey.
I want to know how specific your prompts are that you're getting like logos on them and stuff like that. And
you just send it the logo and say include the logo, and today we're talking about those things.
Because like I've tried to make logos through AI and it just never works. It's awful. They send me the most egregious images back. So when I see yours, I'm like, how? Like he's doing coding over there to get this to work.
By the way, I've been in the biz long enough that I actually did have to do coding back when I was like in the beginning when I started journalism at Rivals. I had to code my own stories. Not every single one of them, but a lot of them. It was not fun.
Yeah, that doesn't sound very fun.
No, I mean it wasn't. And you know, gosh, what they'd say back then, it was like if you know how to code, you're always going to have a job because at the end of the day, somebody's going to have to be able to go in and do this or that or another. And it's like I mean coding, is that even do people do coding jobs anymore? Maybe so. Maybe coding's more important than ever. Long story short, I didn't learn any more of it. But if you needed me to break a paragraph or bold a sentence or italicize a sentence or to do a picture, I could do all the little letters to do it.
Look, whenever I inevitably build my website that all I need is pictures inserted or bolded words, I will be calling you up the wazoo.
Onlychildress.com?
Onlychildress.com. That's it. That's all you're getting.
Don't call me. don't call me at all. But no, yeah, it's like I don't know. Some of them don't turn out all that great, but I don't care. I think it's just better than words, right? Like people would rather look at a picture of a graphic, even if it is just AI slop versus just typed out words. So again, if you're not on Twitter, this conversation doesn't really apply to you, but it's just what we're talking about it's just the show graphic. We're on Instagram, by the way. Go follow us on Instagram.
Also, the first song I played during break didn't really go with it because I didn't think of a theme until after that one. But I want you to tell me if you can guess what the theme of the songs I'm going to play are at the end of the show.
With all the songs that you played
from going on now.
Horny?
No, that one didn't count. That one was. There's a theme going on from now on for the rest of the show. At the end of the show, I want you to try and guess what it is.
Okay. But that rejoin counted?
No, that one didn't count because I came.
Right, so nothing I've heard has counted.
Nothing you heard so far has counted.
All right, but moving forward, you're jigsaw and you're playing a game.
Yes, exactly.
All right.
Has to do with what we've talked about.
Is it all right? Well, I can't wait to see. It's probably just going to be that the Governor Cup sucks or it's not exciting or boring.
If I made like 10 AI songs that all talked about how the Governor Cup sucks, then I probably should get paid more than I am. But I didn't go that far.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll figure it out. Text on into the Game Day Men's Health text line 502-414-1450. Winning Sundays for our teams. The Dolphins, I don't think they played, but he's not here, so it doesn't count anyways. Big one for your Patriots, my pack attack. A sweat-free one. They were due for it. I thought it may come against the Giants the week before. Not so, but against the Vikings, even better. Suck it to the Vikings, my least favorite team in the NFL. I'm glad that the Packers trolled you by doing like the little skull, silly clap hand thing and whatnot. But that was nice. And then Patriots just keep rolling, Producer Matt.
We took some hits. Lost Will Campbell this week. Got some good news on him, though, that it's only a MCL sprain, so he's probably going to be on IR for at least 4 or 5 games. But he is going to be back, so I'm thankful for that. I think Patriots fans are a little more worried than they should be after losing Will Campbell because, yeah, he is one of the better rookies this year. I think he's only given up 2 sacks all season, but even with that, Drake May is still the most sacked quarterback in the NFL right now, so I don't know if we're losing that much just yet, but it was sad to see him go down. I'm hoping we get him back sooner rather than later.
I know you're happy. I like that you're happy. It makes me happy when you're happy. But admittedly, I did want the Bengals to win. We've got a bunch of Bengals listeners. If that would have gotten them to 4-7, that means bringing Burrow back seems a little bit more realistic. I still think they're going to bring him back, which is crazy to me. But at 4-7, you're like, all right, we got a little more wiggle room here to get to the playoffs. Now at 3-8, the Bengals obviously aren't going to the playoffs. If I was a Bengals fan, I'd be like, why would we bring Joe Burrow back? Don't do that. Don't do it. Just let him get 100%. The season's lost, and hopefully 2026 will be a little bit better. But not the case. Your Patriots were better. They earned the win. It was a devastating, 30-second window for me in the NFC North. Obviously, the Packers dominated Minnesota. The Vikings are cheeks. Not talking about that game specifically. But the Steelers, did they not convert on 4th down, or did Mason Rudolph throw an interception? That game ended just like that when it seemed like they were driving to maybe win the game in regulation, but at minimum have a field goal chance. But they stalled when they got to the 40-yard line, Chicago's 34-yard line. And then within seconds of that, the Lions hit, a 59-yarder, a 63-yarder, whatever that was, to force overtime against the Giants. So there for a split second, I thought that the Bears and the Lions may be picking up losses. Instead, they both get wins. The Lions play with their food with the Giants, just like the Packers did. And those two teams will square off on Thanksgiving. We've got a great Thanksgiving slate for you on Thursday, including my Pack Attack and the Lions, like I said, at noon. But then I don't want the Week 16 slate. But then you got Chiefs-Cowboys at 4:30, and I didn't know if this was the late game or not. But Bengals-Ravens at night, Chiefs-Cowboys 4:30, and then for your lunch, Packers-Lions. When is your favorite time to eat Thanksgiving meal, Producer Matt?
I'd say around 3 o'clock.
That's your ideal time?
I feel like that's in between the football, kind of. You're getting the end of the early game, right? You are not started the midday game yet. So you get a little window to eat there for about an hour, 45 minutes, and then you're right back on the couch, top button, unbutton on your pants, and you're just taking a nap.
It's a special feeling, Clark. Mine is the right answer is whoever makes the best food, right? And probably the right answer is whoever's frying the turkey. So if you've got to go to multiple family events, one, just be blessed that you do get to go to multiple family events. Even if you just only get to go to one, be thankful that you get to go to that. It's the reason for the season. But you don't need to hear that from me. It's whatever one is cooking the best food. Yeah. And you know what it is. If you've got a lineup, if you've got a few different places to go, you know which ones are going to be a little bit better. And that's the correct answer. But let's say all things are equal, it's the first one. This is what you've been waiting for. Mm-hmm. I mean, it is Thanksgiving. So if that's a nooner or a 1 o'clock, that's the one I'm most excited about. And that's the one that I'm probably going to give my best effort. And then the rest of the day, I'll be stuffed and I'll just kind of poke and pick at food. Is that fair to those parties that maybe I'm not giving them my all? Well, yeah, only one's going to get it. So it's usually the first one for me. And then you won't be as are you embarrassed to have a big plate? Do you go for a second plate?
Oh, I'll go for 5.
Okay.
If I'm going there and I'm really messing with it, and whoever's grandma was throwing down beforehand just really outdid herself, I'll go for 5. I'll go for 6 if I want to. The next house, if this one's good enough, the next house might not even see me appear. Which, gosh, I'm actually more nervous about this Thanksgiving than I ever have before, because I told you this year I've been cooking a lot and learning to cook.
Oh boy.
It's on my girlfriend, me, and her sister to do the Thanksgiving cooking for her house this year. So
the whole thing?
Most of about all of it. We're going to triple team it. We're going to figure it out. We already got the plan set out. It's nothing too crazy. They are go get the turkey from somewhere else kind of thing, just put it in the oven kind of place. So that's the easy part. But I got a lot on my plate, no pun intended, this year. I'm kind of nervous. It's 4th down. 3 seconds left on the clock. We got to send a Hail Mary downfield, and hopefully we convert.
That'll be fun. That's exciting.
And maybe KRC can show up.
I think you'll crush it. I can't wait to hear how that all works out. But yeah, that'll be you'll be a little flustered at times this week. You'll get through it though, I think. Let's get to the text line because we're gonna have Stephen Peak on at some point. He's saying that he may be available. Peak, if you're listening, just make sure everything's set up, ready to rock and roll, and then whenever that is, just so we don't have any hiccups with it, that's fine. But in the meantime, Peak's going to recap some of his thoughts on the Vandy game, Stoops, and and all that. So he'll kind of it'll be his opinion, but it'll be rehashing some topics that we've already talked about. So in the meantime, let's see what the texters have to say. One texter says, who decided that 5-7 is the magical line where we have no choice but to bring Stoops back? Why is it purgatory per the other radio show? We'll be wasting another year with a QB that can finally win us games to drop the buyout by $8 million and have a ceiling of 6-6. Yeah, no, you're preaching to the choir, and I can't speak for other shows or other people or anything like that. But if they go 5-7, you have beaten nobody. Nobody. It may as well be 2-10. It really may as well be. Or 3-9, whatever. You won your 3 out-of-conference games against the Cupcakes. You beat 2 SEC teams that, winning at Auburn, whatever. It's just not inspiring. Nobody's tricked by it. Nobody saw it and thought like, but we were a good team this week or that week. No, you just were slightly better than a more dead team. Even if they beat Louisville, we're going to look at this 6-6 year and say, all right, you got 4 out of conference wins, 3 that you've got your entire offensive line is more expensive than the rest of their entire nil budgets for these out of conference schools. So you better beat them. You beat a Louisville team who is shockingly dead. When just a few weeks ago they were talking college football playoff, maybe hosting a college football playoff, and it was all right there for them. But Miller Moss didn't have the chops, and the bottom fell out. But 6-6, it's just not even worth arguing. But it wasn't a good season for Mark Stoops at all. Somebody defend it. Somebody argue for it. You can't do it. We had one caller on Saturday that was pro Mark Stoops, and he even admitted that he was 3 bourbons deep. And his only argument was that if you don't have them, you may lose Cutter, and that's not fair. Like we don't know that to be true. And then I think another one of his sentiments was just it's Kentucky football. You 6-6, you got to live with that. If you would have told me at the beginning of the season, would you take 6-6? I'd say yeah, but that's because I probably thought 4-8 was the other option. 6-6 was probably the ceiling, maybe 7-5. And if you'd beaten Texas, at least you'd say like, all right, that Texas team was decent. They had a lot to play for, a lot of NFL talent, and you got them. But you couldn't get that game. So 5-7 will be a disaster. It'll be as bad as any other season that he's had, and I won't be convinced otherwise. But it does seem like if it's 5-7 and then he's back and Cutter's gone, how would you be able to sell that season to fans in 2026? How many people would be at that first game? And hope always springs eternal, but geez Louise. All right, we have Peak?
Yes, we do.
Hello, Peak.
Hey, what's going on?
Not much. What's up?
I listened to a lot of your post-game show on Saturday. I was feeling a lot like your callers were. Just, I agree with you. I think I asked Nick Roush and Adam Luckett this on the way to the Mark Stoops press conference today, and I'll ask you the same thing. Yeah, I think we all would have agreed 6-6 was good enough. Because, like you said, the alternative was 4-8. Last year was 4-8. Hey, that's 2 more wins, and that means you're going to a bowl. That's kind of how do we complain about that? But are all 6-6s made equal? So your 6-6 is going to be a win over Auburn, who fired their coach within hours of losing to you. Florida without a coach. And granted, I love beating Florida. Beat them by 31. That was a lot of fun. And then beating a Louisville team who it feels like, and maybe we're wrong, but it feels like guys are opting out. That's definitely on that season for them has been trending downwards for the last few weeks. And it would be great to beat Louisville. But I don't know, TJ, is that the same? I mean, when I heard 6-6, I thought there would be at least one good quality win. And while beating Louisville, Auburn, and Florida sounds great on paper, or maybe it sounded great before the season started, those are kind of like whatever wins? I mean, am I being too pessimistic in saying that?
No, we just kind of got finished saying the same. If you go 6-6, there's no reason really to argue it or debate it because he'd be back. You got into a bowl game with such a tough schedule. They didn't shut up all offseason about how hard the schedule was, and my goodness, you got to a bowl game. You did it. So that would be a win for them. So it really wouldn't be worth debating at 6-6. But yes, 5-7. It's a terrible season at that point. We talked about it. No good wins or no wins to really hang your hat on. The rivalry win, that'd be great. So you need to go do that. And then if you can do it and then sell Boley being back and you're spending a lot of money to go get him some weapons, all right, well, that's how you sell 2026. But it has to, these are, here. So you had that donor. Did you see that, Stephen Peak? The donor over on House of Blue, Cast Illustrated. He posted, I will donate $1 million of my own dollar bucks, but I demand these two things. And the two things were UK has to hire John Summerall and Mitch Barnhart has to leave. And it's like, buddy, for $1 million, you are not calling either one of those shots. Times that by 100, and then you are going to have some sway here. But come on, for $1 million, you're not getting what you're getting there. But I understand the idea behind. I get where he's going. But the way this is the happy ending for Stoops, at least to get out of 2025 with an optimistic 2026. You have to win Saturday. That is a must. That's a non-negotiable. You have to get Cutter Boley back for another year. That's a must. That's a non-negotiable. And then you have to fundraise. You have to get nil into the program where you're saying 2026, you're going to love what we do in the transfer portal. And you're going to have to do that anyways. That's not just for like your own selling tickets sort of deal.
They only have 13 freshmen signed.
Yeah, I mean, you're right about that. You're going to be having to replace basically the entirety of the offensive line. You're going to need to get some help for Cutter Boley at the wide receiver position. Wide receivers aren't cheap in the transfer portal, at least the good ones, if you want to go that direction. So that's how Stoops can kind of get out of 2025 with his head above water and say, like, all right, I've kind of got people somewhat intrigued about 2026. But anything besides those three things, anything besides that, no. If you don't win on Saturday, get out. If Cutter Boley's not back, get out. And if there's less money in the program, which I wouldn't think that there would be, but if there's less money in the program somehow, then obviously you got to get out also. So it would be those three things for me.
Do you think that by going 6-6, being able to say that they've made a bowl game, Mark Stoops has made a bowl game in 9 out of 10 seasons, could that land him a spot somewhere else? Does that make him more appealing to another school? Is that another reason why Kentucky fans should be rooting for a win on Saturday? Because here's what I've not enjoyed seeing. Kentucky's playing Louisville on Saturday. That I want to win that game so bad, especially because of how the basketball game went. And yeah, the Louisville fans aren't going to be as interested as they would have been had they not played so bad the last few weeks. But there are the online fan base. There's a lot of them. It'd be interesting to do a poll to see how they feel about this. There are too many. Like literally one Kentucky fan who is a diehard Kentucky fan saying that they would rather lose to Louisville because it might mean that they will get a new football coach. That's one too many. I'm not telling people how to fan, but I am saying that's crazy to me. That's where you are. That's where the fan base is at. That there are people willing to sacrifice a loss to Louisville, which is a loss that would make us not bowl eligible, so that maybe Kentucky can move on from Mark Stoops. That just feels like such a weird place to be as a fan. Well, I don't know how. I don't think that could ever be me in any circumstance. But I'm not gonna say I'm not gonna say I don't get it. Like, I do get it that there's just a lot they're gonna have to change about how they do their off season too, if they are to win this game on Saturday. I mean, you have to lean into Cutter Boley. You have to market him. You have to change a lot about what you do in this athletic department to get people excited, because you can win this game and people can come away with it feeling pretty good. Maybe you go to the bowl game, Cutter looks good in that too, and you can have people sort of bought in
All right, Peak, we got to go to a commercial break. He's playing the music, but you probably can't hear it. Hour number 2, Kentucky Roll Call, coming up. Stephen Peak, TJ Walker, producer Matt Childers on Big X Sports Radio. Welcome back. Hour number 2, Kentucky Roll Call here on Big X Sports Radio, 96.1 FM, 1450 AM. We got Thanksgiving on Thursday. And then people turn their attention to shopping on Black Friday. Well, if your list is long and your budget feels short, we've got you covered here at Big X Sports Radio. ShoppingKentuckyAna.com has half-price deals that make everyone happy. You can grab $100 gift certificates for $50, $40 for $20, and use them right now. From pizza nights to mini golf to family adventures, there's something for everyone. It's the perfect way to give a meaningful gift, support local businesses, and keep some cash in your pocket. So before you spend full price anywhere else, check Shopping Kentuckyana today and find half-price holiday favorites. All right, Stephen Peak, we only got you there for about 10 minutes, but it was a fun first hour getting to talk with producer Matt, recap some of that disaster that was the Vandy game, and turn our attention towards the least anticipated Governor's Cup that I could ever remember. But, yeah, we can talk about anything and everything in between, but first hour.
Do you want me to talk to you about what the atmosphere was like at Vanderbilt? Kind of one of the talking points that a lot of us had up in the press box, just how good their environment is. And here's what drives me crazy. They have they put on a great production. They have a good atmosphere, and that's with 35% of the crowd being the other team's fans.
Yes, but I said, like, who cares? They were up 35-3 on Kentucky.
But that stuff matters. Like that stuff matters as far as like, okay. For example, everybody is saying, well, yeah, they're good. They're going to playoffs. Of course, they're going to have a good atmosphere. South Carolina was 5-6, or no, they were 4-6 in 2023 when we went to their place, and it was a freaking party the whole game. The light shows, the fireworks, the traditions that everybody participates in. There's so much fan participation, and while Vanderbilt is doing, what are they? They're playing like cheesy songs, and they're doing shout. But I had a shot of like this guy with his daughter, and they're dancing to shout, and I realized like that stuff. Yeah, the diehard fan doesn't go to the games because the songs that are played, or that they have the light show and it's all synced with the music and the fireworks, and they have these traditions where they do the same thing. Ritualistic stuff when you go to these games is important. Like it actually is, because that's where you get the casual fan who wants to keep coming back, and they become a diehard fan, and they buy season tickets and they invest in the program. That stuff matters.
And then you don't win a home game for 3 years, and nobody cares about your atmosphere. It's peak.
Well,
they're top 15
team.
team.
Florida 38-7, and Kentucky didn't do anything like that. They didn't play I won't back down. They didn't do anything that the other SEC schools would do while they're kicking the other team's ass. They just we'll just play this random song.
Yeah, you're right, and sure that it looked like everybody that was at Nashville was having a blast, but Vandy's a top 15 team. They're playing for a college football playoff. It was their senior day. They were beating a team by 40 points. Yes, it was probably going to be a good atmosphere, and I think if the roles were reversed, Kroger Field would also be considered a great atmosphere if those things were happening. And yes,
the atmosphere is built by but I think that what people are getting mixed up here is that we're talking about game day presentation, like a game day script, versus atmosphere. I think the two things are getting kind of mixed up. An atmosphere, yes, can be great regardless of the music you play, regardless if you have a cool light system and fireworks on the field, because the fans can be energized into the game, and that's ultimately that makes the great atmosphere. Totally agree with that. But Kentucky doesn't have a game day script. We don't have tradition. I go to all these other SEC places. Auburn has 50 different cheers that they do, 50 different things that all the student section and all the fans. So when we go to Rupp Arena and I look at what that is, and we go to Kroger Field and I look at what that is, and the fan participation is so low. Like it's way lower than any other SEC venue that I've been to, basketball or football. And that is because Kentucky doesn't care about that. They don't care. So they don't focus energy into it.
You know how
I argue.
Or go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead.
I thought you were done. You'd broken up on the internet just a little bit. But no. Go ahead. Finish your thought.
Just that every other school does this better because they focus their energy into it. I mean, South Carolina went out and hired a guy specifically for this, and it shows. They have the best atmosphere. And South Carolina sucks. When has South Carolina been good? Like, they had so much energy in the game we went to this year, and the game we went to in 2023, and the game we went to in 23. They sucked. They were 4-6 going into that game, and the place was full, and the people. And when we asked Kentucky fans, swear to God, when we asked them at the South Carolina game, we asked several of them, "Where's your favorite place to go?" And almost all of them have said either South Carolina, and I forget what second place was, but most of them said South Carolina. We asked them why, because of the atmosphere. So that stuff does matter, and if I'm a recruit, like that matters to see how much fun the fans are having. We were beating Florida 38-7. We should have had something like that, but we didn't. Because we don't care about that stuff, and because our athletic department thinks it's 1995. They operate as if it's just old school, the fans will create the chants. That doesn't happen anymore. You have to get people to do stuff, because nobody wants to be the guy who just stands up and starts a chant and it doesn't work, because then they feel like an idiot.
In politics, sometimes it's are they just keeping us at each other's throats? How much of this stuff is really important? It feels like they're just kind of trying to divide us for division's sake. Any conversation about UK atmosphere, I feel like is just our attention's in the wrong spot.
Well, it's just
the Florida game. They were 1-5 in the SEC, and they hadn't won a home game in 3 years. And you're talking that the atmosphere should have been like Vandy on Saturday when they're a top 15 team on their senior day, having the most successful senior day or senior class that they've ever had. It is apples and oranges, Peak, and I don't care about UK's atmosphere. The atmosphere will come when we're not a dog bleep team. We were down 42-3.
But that's how you do anything, how you do everything.
I don't care about that. If Kentucky's a top 15 team and they're up by 40 on a team, the atmosphere is going to be amazing.
They're not going to be that because they don't care about these other things. The atmosphere is not
why they're so bad. The reason
what I'm saying
because
is
the atmosphere is not
everything.
good for the Florida game is not why they were down 45-2 or 3 on Saturday.
What I'm saying is it's a whole mindset from the athletic department.
Sure.
That they just half-ass through everything. So they half-ass atmosphere. They half-ass put a roster together. They half-ass do this. So when you look at it that way, it's not focusing on details and not really giving a full effort in any area.
I'm with you, but that's Mitch Barnhart's athletic program. I just get so tired of discussions about the atmosphere. Like Rupp Arena, it should be better. Too many blue hairs. Kroger Field, it should be better. Just be good. The atmosphere in 2015 was amazing. I think they still had Big Bertha back then at Rupp Arena. You know why? Because they were 38-0, and they were really good, and there was NBA talent, and people couldn't wait to see them. And if you brought in a new coach next year, if Summerall was at Kroger Field to start 2026 with Cutter Boley, and they landed some of the top receivers and one of the best transfer portal classes that you could get, we're not going to be talking about if Kroger Field's light show for that Saturday night is going to be bringing in an additional 5,000 to 7,000 people or something like that. Just be good, and everything else will take care of itself. And I get your point that the athletic department's just asleep at the wheel. Yes, it seems like Mitch Barnhart's athletic department's been asleep at the wheel for a little bit. So that's just life, I guess, under Mitch Barnhart. The good news is maybe he's leaving soon, maybe he's not. I don't know. Maybe Kentucky has money to fire fire Mark Stoops. Maybe they don't have the money to do that. I don't know.
Well, apparently, rather if Kentucky fans like it or not, he's a Kentuckian and this is home.
Yeah.
According to what he said today.
That is what he said today. I looked up from the camera when he said that. He said we moved out when he was 17. Did you all play any of the press conference?
No, we didn't get I was a little fired up because Kentucky was down 45-3 to Vandy going into the fourth quarter.
42 points, TJ.
Yeah, not good.
42.
Mark Stoops would be a Kentucky.
What a week to be a Kentucky fan.
Spend and invest that $38 million in the Commonwealth, baby, in the Bluegrass State. You keep it right here at your old Kentucky home, baby. I want you to stay here. I have nothing against Mark Stoops personally. I just need some hope in this football program, not so much cope. And it's a little too much cope, not so much hope. If you win on Saturday, I get it. He's coming back, and I'll have to just kind of bite my tongue and get with it for 2026. And if you keep Boley back, all right, well then he's at least fun to watch. I don't think it's going to amount to a dream season or a great season, but I understand. Win Saturday, and all right, you lose Saturday. Everybody needs to be on the same page that this is just not okay. When was the last time UK football was having fun? And we'll realize it had been a good bit. So
September of 2023.
Yeah, it just comes down to Saturday. And it's not going to change my opinion that this was a great season or a great team or anything like that, but I got what the wager was going into the season. Postseason, he's back. But anything less than that, I'm not going to be all right with. If he had been, if you'd beaten some good teams and the schedule ended up being as tough as they tried to lie to us at the beginning of the year, or at times maybe it seemed like it was going to be at the beginning of the year, but it wasn't that schedule. Auburn was cheeks. Florida was cheeks. This Louisville team has given up. So I'll be out there on Saturday. I'm excited. I love the Governor's Cup, especially when it's in town and you don't have to drive too far. But, Pete, can we read some text into the text line?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, a couple texts. Bro, we have a trash bag football team. The crowd chants and the light shows are the least of our worries. Y'all need to go to McDonald's Playland. Terrible, terrible take. Another texter says, South End Josh here. The Governor's Cup is an absolute turd sandwich, but still take great pleasure in further ruining U of L's season if Kentucky were to win. If Mark Stoops can't beat a U of L team missing its top 3 running backs and best wide receiver, then he should just be fired on the field as soon as the game is over. South End Josh, thanks for calling in over the weekend. It is a turd sandwich. There is no denying. I agree with South End Josh here the whole way, Stephen Peak.
Wow, with South End Josh, oh yeah, okay. I just got the text groove stuff pulled up. So if Mark Stoops can beat a U of L team missing his top, yeah, okay, yes. I mean, look, this game should actually be a blowout. Don't you agree? Kentucky should win this game by a couple touchdowns. As soon as I heard that Louisville was going to be missing their top wide receiver, I went ahead and just put money on Kentucky to win on the money line. They should win this game by double digits, right?
Kentucky hasn't beaten anybody with a pulse. But you're saying U of L doesn't have a pulse. All right?
Yeah, they don't right now. They're obviously they're reeling. If they played this game back in October, Louisville probably wins by 2 touchdowns. But right now, Kentucky should win this game. Like this is. I know what the spread is. Is it still 3.5? By the way, did it stay 3.5?
Well, I don't know. You think with the Chris Bell news,
it was 3.5 when I went to put money on Kentucky, and I never ever bet on Kentucky. By the way, I almost never do it. That's how confident I am that they should win. They should. Maybe they won't, but if they don't, then that has to be it, right? I mean, that has to be. But I don't know where you get the money from, and that's obviously the bigger issue.
Well, you worry about the money. You'll figure out where to get the money, hopefully a negotiated settlement or more time to pay out. Hey, if you're Kentuckian and this is your home, you don't want to sabotage the state university in your home, do you, Mark Stoops, right? So go ahead and allow us a little extra time to pay you your millions and millions and millions of dollars. You don't need it all within 60 days, 90 days, all right? What about a few years? How about that? How about that, Mark Stoops? By the way, the AP basketball poll is out. Kentucky has dropped to number 19 after getting dominated by Michigan State last Tuesday. They did play on Friday. They looked much better. We'll talk about that a little bit later in the show, but the Cats are now number 19. And future opponents, North Carolina, who they will play in 8 days, they are number 16. And then Gonzaga, who they will play in, 10 days, 11 days. They are number 12 right now. So Cats will get some chances at some top 15, top 20 wins, but you're going to have to wait a week, and now you're just barely hovering in the top 20 right now. And some other Feast Week, oh my goodness gracious, that's embarrassing. Feast Week teams, wow. Feast Week teams, they are going to have some chances at quality wins when you're not playing anybody of substance this week, just Tennessee Tech on Wednesday night. So it's possible you're outside the top 20 come those games next week. But Kentucky at number 19, Feast Week, goodness gracious, that one's going to bug me for a while.
So, what a week for Kentucky. I mean, I go to New York City, watch us lose by 20, let's just say 20 to Michigan State. I know it was 17, but, just not even in the game. Not even in the game, TJ. I come back on, get one day in Louisville on Thursday, then immediately turn around the next day, go down to Nashville, watch Kentucky get down by 42 points. They were down by 42. I know Vanderbilt is good. I know that. 42. They were beating Kentucky 45-3. I was, what the hell? I'm way too tethered to this as a fan to keep going to these places and just watching us get our asses kicked, man. I'm so sick of it. If I have to go to Nashville on, what day is that? December the 5th, I think, the day you're going to see Kentucky play Gonzaga.
Yep.
That's another game I'm worried they could be down by 20 again. Don't do that. Like, it's just your two flagship programs right now are just it hasn't really been good in a while. It hasn't been great in a while. Basketball's been okay. It's been good in some cases, but it has not been fun to be a Kentucky Wildcat fan here recently. We lowered our expectations for basketball last year. I would say they exceeded them. We wanted just to maybe win a tournament game, whatever. I know they broke some records, but the vibes around this has not been what it was. It's like COVID happened, and then you had one good football season, and it's really just everything else has not been great.
There's Stephen Peak bringing up the atmosphere and the mood on today's Kentucky Roll Call. No, I'm just kidding.
Fun, TJ.
I'm kidding, buddy. No, you're right. And you beat your rival on Saturday. Again, you're not tricking anybody or convincing anybody that it was a good football season. But one, you're getting the Governor's Cup back. Gives you a fun moment in your rival's stadium. One, we get Little Howard flip back to blue. That would be very exciting. This is a big week for the Big X Sports radio station. Little Howard, first time ever wearing red. He's got a nasty line beard. He always reeks of Crown Royal. He's got a flat bill. Somebody put the Pat Kelsey glasses on him, which isn't really the spirit of the rivalry since it's a football award. But that being said, we need to get Little Howard back in blue. He looks a lot better in blue, but he's on the line on Saturday. But you win Saturday. We get to watch another game of Cutter Boley. I'm really having fun watching him, not when he's down 45-3 or anything like that. But, I think he's got a lot of potential. So something to if you got to the bowl game would be a stupid one. It would be the Liberty meaningless Texas Bowl. Who cares? But it'd be another opportunity to watch Cutter Boley, another opportunity for Cutter Boley to develop. And so, there'd be something to that. And if you're going to play a game, you may as well win it. But just win Saturday. If you don't win Saturday, I'm going to be pretty loud about my feelings of Mark Stoops. And I don't really want to do that. That doesn't sound fun to me. I don't want to have to do that. So,
yeah, because they were almost still like hopeless anyway.
At least I can quietly hate if they win.
Yeah.
I got to be vocal about it if they lose. Another texter on the Game Day Men's Health text line says, when other coaches started doing the like it or not conversation, it was considered talking down to the fan base. Like it or not, I'm here. Yeah, if you like Stoops, you're going to find reasons. Or if you dislike Stoops, you're going to find reasons to nitpick things that he's saying. He probably thought that saying that would come off as like endearing, like I'm one of you all, we're one, and we're one and the same. But nothing has felt more the opposite. Mark Stoops has felt incredibly distant from the fan base. He doesn't seem accessible at all. If you run out to him maybe late night at a bar or a fancy restaurant, possibly you could run into him. But he's not in the community. He's not out doing this or doing that. And I'm sure he's probably done something here or there, and hopefully he's given back to a hospital here or there. And I'll eat some crow if there's something out there. But he doesn't seem approachable at all. So he probably said that just to be like, hey, guys, I'm one of you all. I want to get this right because I love this place just like you do. But it's like Pope or Stoops, we don't feel that way. Pope, we know that, and that's been a big thing for him. But listen, we don't even care about that with Pope because he's not winning. You're not winning, and we don't buy what you're selling us on that stuff. But he probably tried to do that to get a win, and in reality, it's not.
Yeah, I think sometimes that was late in the press conference too, just trying to get through it. I do think we sometimes we take what they're saying and we forget they're just trying to get through this press conference, and because he actually stopped himself. He was talking today where it was asked about signing freshmen, only getting 13 freshmen, and he was getting ready to say something, and he said, "Well, I'm just going to stop because you guys will use that headline. You'll make a headline out of that. I don't want to give you that soundbite."
What?
He really is. He's very he's very conscientious of what he's saying in these things. Almost.
So what was his
too
answer
much.
for why they only have a 13-man class?
Well, he didn't get because he didn't want to give us a soundbite.
So he just didn't answer the question.
What he basically said was,
the question.
and this is TJ. Actually, when he got to the answer, I think later on, maybe it was a different question, or maybe he did come back and answer this. But it was kind of interesting to me. He said, I have to know that these guys are going to be able to contribute now, because we have only so many dollars to go around. So I have to make sure whoever I bring in that they have the ability to contribute to the team now. So they're also looking at like JUCO players, obviously transfer portal, but only 13 freshmen. And to me, it sounds like, are you just trying to survive the season? Are you just trying to get through like the next season? So just bring it in instead of trying to build up a class and be better for the future. It feels like it's like we have to be good immediately because my job is on the line. Does that make sense? That's what I felt like he was saying.
Mr. Kentucky's My Home is not trying to plant any long-term roots with the program because he realizes I'm not going to be around. Either they're going to fire me or I'll go get another job. So let me just win enough to live another day, or win enough to go get hired somewhere else. And that's exactly what he's doing there. Yeah, what a terrible answer. But the true answer is other programs seem a bit more stable. Recruits want to go to those places. They don't want to hang around here, and I don't blame them. You got to make sure next year's good. You can't just say, "Hey, next year the offensive line is going to be majority freshmen, but we're going to keep them together, and in 2028 it's going to be really, really good." You can't do that because nobody's going to care. We don't want to see Stoops around in 2028 after another bad year, another bad year, another bad year, another bad year. So I guess he's being a little truthful in the answer of like needing immediate impact guys, but it's not great for the long-term diagnosis.
No, right. That's the whole thing. The fan base is not going to be patient enough for him to bring in spend a bunch of money on freshmen and then have to wait for them to be SEC ready. Of course, like that's not gonna fly. But be the only SEC team that's going to try to build through just the portal and JUCO classes. I feel like that's a risk. That is a strategy, and we'll see. The offensive line was a lot better this year. I mean, they were terrible on Saturday, but for the most part for this season they were pretty good.
Yeah, you got to replace that whole thing though.
Yeah, start all over. That's what worries me, TJ, is that like you cannot waste Cutter Boley. I mean, he is the one bright spot of this whole thing. Really, it's the probably going to be the best quarterback Stoops has had. I mean, I'm hoping that's the best case scenario, right? And it does seem like it might be trending that way for as good as he's been this early. We cannot waste. I mean, that's what.
And Cutter Boley's going to know that. He's going to know that, like, all right, I want to stay here, but I don't want to be running for my life. This other program's offering me just as much money, maybe more money, and they've got a great offensive line. And they've got an NFL wide receiver. It's going to be tough. It's not just a total given that he's going to hang around. It's going to be interesting in what he prefers. Another year with Stoops, somebody else besides Stoops, bring somebody else in. It'll be fun. On the Game Day Men's Health text line, a texter says, should is the wrong word. We should win? Nope. We might win, but Louisville could easily beat us, so they disagreed with your wording there. A little bit being a little picky. And then they say, that's where the press has to push back and ask questions about his dumb answer. What do you mean you aren't answering because it would give us a bad sound bite? And that's a good point.
Yeah, no, it's fair. That's fair.
Ridiculous.
You could press them, and people have before. There have been people who push back on stuff, and they just ignore it. I mean, like you could keep. Okay, what are you going to say? What were you going to say? Why are you holding back? What is it that needs to be said that you're not saying? That doesn't matter. Like that. Like I said, these press conferences are all like they've all figured out a way just to lie their way around them. That's it. I hate press conferences. I would rather a one-on-one interview or something like those are great. But when it's just a press room and this is their obligation, they're contractually obligated to do this. They're just trying to get through it. And that's where the whole Mark Pope digging himself a hole with that statement he made a couple weeks ago. He's just trying to get through the press conference, man. Like, that's it. And he just ran out of stuff to say. So he brings up something very minuscule that really was not a big deal, and then it became, one of the bigger distractions of his time at Kentucky so far. And so, yeah, I mean, you can try to hold their feet to the fire on some things and try to force a good answer out of them or force them to explain themselves. But at the end of the day, like that, they're just making noises out of the lowest hole in their head. That's all that they're doing.
I like that. Make it out of the highest hole in your head. I'd be more impressed at that. Kirby says, to be honest, the true answer behind recruiting is pretty tough to recruit when everyone wants me fired and the players don't know if I'm going to be here. His fault, and I'm sure, and I'm one of those, but what quality players coming to this situation if they have other options? All the more reason, though, than push back on that. Then, all right, then what do you do about it? What are you going to do? Why should Mitch Barnhart feel confident that you're going to get this figured out if you can't convince freshmen that you're going to get it figured out? So, yes, Kirby, that if he was going to answer truthfully, that's what he probably would say. But maybe a media member just needs to be blunt about it and say, hey, are recruits feeling like the program's not very stable right now? And I don't know, maybe somebody's asked it. I haven't heard it, if so.
No, nothing I've heard in any of these. I would say that there's instability all around college football. I mean, how do you convince somebody to go play for Florida last year? Like, how did you convince the guys that Auburn got to go play for their coach when it was obvious that he was on the hot seat and that he could be let go at any moment? But you figure it out. I mean, but to be fair, he's only signed 13 guys, so it actually probably is a problem. And that's why you probably go the transfer portal route, because, hey, you have 1 year left. And it's like, we're just going to build this up with MAC players again and see if – I don't know, man. They get a good wide receiver, get like a star wide receiver that wants to play with Cutter Boley and just put them on billboards and in commercials all off season and get them in front of cameras and get video of them, throwing the ball to each other. I don't know. Just try to – because I feel like Kentucky's going to win on Saturday. And whether they should or they shouldn't, I just feel like they're going to. I feel like Louisville's banged up enough, maybe even checked out a little bit. And the Kentucky players seem to want to rally around Cutter Boley. So as long as he's out there, I think Kentucky's got a good shot, and I think that they will win and that we will run this back, because it will be a bowl-eligible team. And at Kentucky, you just can't afford to spend $38 million to let go of a coach who just went to a bowl game. The only thing you might hope for there is, by going to a bowl game, like I said earlier, he can say he's made it to a bowl 9 out of 10 times, and somebody will hire him.
That'd be great. My wildest dream is that they win on Saturday, and then he takes the Governor's Cup trophy to the press conference, and he says, guys, this has been a blast, but this is going to be my last press conference with you all. I'm moving on. And that's, of course, a total dream. It's not going to happen, but that would be great. And maybe if he's more attractive to another job at 6-6, and Jimmy Sexton puts feelers out there that, hey, he's just looking for something new, something different, and some team says, oh my gosh, he's been pretty good at UK. Yeah, he's had a bad year or two, but he's mostly been great. We'll hire him. I don't think that's impossible. I don't think we're going to see that happen, but mostly I never want Kentucky to lose to U of L, and I don't want that on Saturday. Can't stress that enough. I'll be there, decked out in blue, ready to rock and roll. But I will say, U of L's demise and U of L falling apart and player after player being injured or opting out, and U of L they're down. There's no doubt about that. If they were to beat Kentucky, it would be a humiliating loss for Mark Stoops and UK. This is a U of L team that Cal came into Cardinal Stadium and was able to get a win. A Clemson team that can't beat anybody was able to come in there and get a win. SMU just totally thumped them, and you were the team that couldn't do it, Mark Stoops. So it actually adds a little bit of pressure to Stoops in this game that Louisville is out. They have just totally checked out. They went from college football playoff contender, and that happens sometimes. Things can change quick. and people are going to start looking out for themselves instead of looking out for the team. So it adds a little, all right, if you can't do it against this team, you're 5-7, you didn't beat anybody worth a fart, and this U of L team beat you down one scholarship running back, their top wide receiver out. That was announced today. Chris Bell is not going to play next week. So it does add a little, that caveat I think is good for people that want a little heat on Stoops if he doesn't win this game.
Yeah, I think that absolutely. I think it would be the way Louisville is trending, it would be a bad loss. So get it done. TJ, I still can't hear if there's any music. Are we up against the break right now?
We're going to take one. I want to make sure we get to the text. There's still plenty more. Maybe we save more of the basketball discussion for tomorrow's show. But Stephen Peak, he's in Lexington. I'm in studio here in Louisville. Producer Matt, TJ Walker. This is Kentucky Roll Call. One final segment coming up next. Segment Kentucky Roll Call here on Big X Sports Radio. I want to tell you about our friends at Salsaritas. 3 locations in the area: Middletown, St. Matthews, and Bullitt County off I-65. Download that Salsaritas app and keep them in mind for all your catering needs. No party too big or too small. They'll take care of you at Salsaritas. All right, so am I supposed to make my guess, Producer Matt, on what your theme was for the show, or does the final song also play into it?
You can either make your guess now. I have another song lined up, but if you make it now, I can just play the KRC song. So you can go ahead and guess if you want to.
Something about like a mom going to school?
It's about attractive older women.
Oh,
Diego Pavia's mom.
Okay, yeah. Well, she's not attractive in my opinion, but if you think so, Producer Matt, that's totally a-okay.
I think she's okay.
No, you don't need to run away from it if you think she's super hot.
I mean, I give her like a
babe.
I
You
give her
can
like
say it on air.
Like
I don't
a 7,
mind.
6.5, maybe.
Out of 50?
Is that how old she is?
Probably older, I would think. Stephen Peak, did you see her? I guess you probably. What would you make of the Diego Pavia mother situation?
Yeah, so I saw her. I had in the 5 seconds that I stood next to Pavia's family just to get some video. Also, Theo Vaughn was with his family. I don't know if they showed that on the broadcast.
Yes.
Theo Vaughn was. I guess he thought he was part of their family. He was even in like the photo that the Vanderbilt took of the family photo they took of everybody's family. Theo was in that one also.
Well, I didn't know he's dating his mom.
Is that what's going on?
They went on a date. I don't know if they're dating, but they as a bit they went on a date. But maybe I don't know.
But they've continued to hang out, so I'm guessing it's a thing.
Maybe the date went well. I don't know.
Did you?
I mean,
did you
Theo
see that
Vaughn could
sketch
do.
was there
Again,
also?
I'm not trying to be mean, but Theo Vaughn could do just so much better than her in Nashville.
I mean, we've heard Theo Vaughn talk. Like, we know how this man is.
What
Does it surprise you at all?
What do you mean we've heard him talk?
The stories we've heard of Theo Vaughn?
I don't get what you're insinuating here, Producer Matt. Explain
I'm
it more,
saying he's
please.
not out there going for supermodels.
Well, okay.
I think TJ's saying he should be. But here's what I didn't know he was 45 years old. I had no idea.
That sounds about right. Maybe a
I
little
thought
older than
I thought he was
thought.
close, like a lot closer to our age.
No, but he was doing the reality show stuff.
I didn't know that.
Younger,
I didn't really
so.
find out who he was until COVID.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So, I also, if you don't know him, Sketch was at the Vanderbilt game as well in a Pavia jersey.
Yeah, he's been following them for most of the season.
Okay. I was curious if you guys even knew who that was. What was it that he got? What was the thing that I don't know if we should talk about it. Maybe not. But he had a line of work he was in a long time ago, and it kind of can't resurface. But yeah, he's a big like YouTuber guy, TikToker.
Do you know
a lot of
he did?
celebrities.
I'm familiar. I just wanted to know how much he wanted to go into it or not. I was just going to let him take it all by himself. I know who Sketches.
So yeah, there's a lot of celebrities, a lot of Nashville's. And then every time I go back there, I'm just blown away. I lived there for a couple years back in like 2014, 15, and it's totally different. Like just a completely different place. It's a guarantee that you will hit traffic now every single time. I used to just drive into Nashville. There was no issue. Like that was 10 years ago. And now it's just you're guaranteed. Doesn't matter time of day or what day it is. You run into traffic every single time. But hey, TJ, I don't know if you've been following Kentucky basketball recruiting.
I have.
Did you see where the number 1 player reclassified? I don't know if you guys have talked about that already. And the number 1 player from 2027 reclassified. Bruce Branch, how concerned are you with Kentucky basketball recruiting right now?
Moderately concerned, but I'm so much more focused on this season that will take care of itself before I can probably get too concerned. But really, the concerns are he hasn't landed anybody, so that again, you land some people, and that will ease the concern. But yes, you haven't gotten anybody. It sounds like you're in on so many people. That's great, but you still have to land them. And then secondly, just what you hear behind the scenes, that he's kind of perceived as a bit corny, and some recruits may not want to play for him, and they don't like the old Taylor Swift and Alexander Hamilton bit that he goes with and stuff like that. That is a little concerning, but it's almost like when you hear about a 1 seed or a 2 seed. Well, that coach has never been to a Final Four, so what? That means like physically he can't go to a Final Four? Yeah, well, sure. Well, yeah, he's never been until he does. And then just like Todd Golden last year. I
was going to mention Todd Golden. That's so funny. It's like you're reading my mind.
It's like you can't do it until you do it. So I'm not overly concerned about it. But if it's the spring and we're looking at this top 10 class and he didn't land anybody, then yeah, there will be no hiding after this year. But I think it'll take care of itself before I can get overly concerned. And I'm much more worried about this top 10 team that is now barely in the top 20, and I'm wondering if they have the chops to do anything at all. So I'm more worried about that.
There is a little bit of reason to have some optimism. Brandon Ramsey's on the case. He's figuring out what's going wrong with Kentucky, more specifically with their preseason SEC Player of the Year, Otega Owe. I like it when Brandon's able to like dive into the film and really find something that's like glaring. And here's what he found, and I thought this was interesting. I just had it pulled up, and it's of course as soon as I go to talk about it, I click out of it. So Brandon Ramsey, I was looking at Otega Owe's numbers in shooting, in 3-point shooting, off the dribble for his career. He is 12 for 43. That's 27%. Catch and shoot, he's 42 out of 111. 38%. So basically, this season, you've seen him take 10 off the dribble threes and 10 catch and shoot threes. So just eliminate the off the dribble 3-point shooting from Otega Owe and get him to where he's in that comfortable, like really good percentage, 38%. I'm taking that every day. I mean, that's perfect of what I want Otega Owe to be. That's best case scenario. So right there is a quick, easy fix for Kentucky's offense to continue to have that spacing and allow Otega Owe to when he wants to put the ball on the floor, drive to the basket. Hopefully the staff's looking at that too.
Those are interesting numbers, and you would like to think they're supposedly very analytical. We hear it all the time in the press conference, but hopefully they're taking that into consideration and they'll fine tune it. One of the things that I'm a little worried about with Owe is just like this is boom or bust for him. If he's ever going to make it in the NBA, he has to show that he can hit threes. So yeah, he knows I can be good at this and I can be good at that, but to really make it, to be playing 10 years down the road, I need to show the NBA I can hit 3-pointers, and he's just not going to be one that's going to be this versatile 3-point outside shooter that can come off screens, catch and shoot, do all these different things. So those stats are interesting. Hopefully the staff will take it into consideration. Another texter says, we've been nothing but a hat on the table since Pope was hired, our name being used by agents, and we're not closing on anyone. Any comment on that?
Yeah, like that's the issue, right? Kentucky's hat's on the table, and it's not being picked. And I mean, yes, obviously all these agents know what kind of money Kentucky has. They know that they can get the ante up and get their guy more money. So that's a good point.
I'm not concerned. I'm not there yet. I'm not. But if the 2026 cycle is just mostly a whiff, maybe you get like a high-end 4-star or back-end 5-star. Yeah, then that's going to be concerning because you were in at the top with a lot of these guys, and you chose Stokes. All right, well, maybe that ended up being a bad choice because he got in a big fight, and then that ended up changing things. Now you're not in on Stokes. Well, it seemed like you were going to land Collins. Well, now he's not announcing until the spring, so what's going on with that? I'll worry about it a little bit later on, but I'm much more focused with this current season. A texter says, Nashville Uber drivers glare at you when you have a walk sign. You mean when you're in the car or when you're walking? I had a very awkward Nashville Uber experience during that Coldplay concert. He was just like offering us drugs and then telling us all these stories about how like other people that he offered drugs thought he was weird. And I was like, man, I wonder how they could have thought that. But you had a dream you wanted to share, Stephen Peak?
Yeah, it wasn't anything. It wasn't an Oscar Shibwe dream, but it was interesting. So I was having I was having a dream where I was in a men's league game, which I haven't played in a couple years, and we were down by 1 and with like 10 seconds left, and I wanted the ball, and they passed me the ball, and I'm like trying to get a shot, and it's like 8 seconds, 7, and then my alarm went off, and I was like, that would have been like the most incredible thing ever if my alarm was just 7 seconds later. That like the buzzer could have gone off the same time my alarm went off. That would have been really cool. So I wanted to know, did I make the shot? And then I woke up kind of frustrated that I didn't get to find out. So I was feeling confident in my dream, TJ. I wanted the ball. Like I was ready to go make a play, and then my alarm goes off, and then I don't know what happens.
Yeah, that is pretty frustrating.
Cliffhanger. Yeah. So I'm anxious to go back to sleep tonight and see if we can finish that one up.
Yeah, well, you'll have to let us know if you make it or not. Patrick Murphy was wondering if you had a dream. So, look, you delivered. I did not, at least nothing of substance that I can think of. I think that he says, I think we're focusing on the stadium atmosphere because it was better than Kentucky, supposedly. Will it change with the new AD? Yes, I'm sure it will. I don't care about atmospheres. I just want the teams to win. And I don't think in a chicken or an egg situation, well, if you have great atmospheres, everything else is going to be great. No, you've got to win. People want to go watch good teams. They want to watch professionals. They want to watch.
No, you should try to be the best at everything that you do. You shouldn't just go like, well, other teams are doing this. I guess we should try to do a version of it. No, you should like have a script. You should have a plan. You should have like, this is for everything. It's like in everything that you do, there should be an emphasis on like, hey, let's just do the best. Let's be the best at this. Why not? Why not strive for that in everything? Atmosphere is like the way down at the bottom of things that are my issues too. But it is another thing that it's just like, why is it that everything, let me tell you another thing, TJ, this is something that does not matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't translate. In no way does this translate to wins and losses on the field. But it's just another, like, why is it that Kentucky's the worst at this? So, and by the way, I hate complaining about this. This is, again, not, like, I don't really care. When you go to Vanderbilt, they have professional like chefs in there making like the meals for the media, and they have like brisket, and they have banana pudding, and it's amazing. It's so good. Like you guys are really spoiling us. At Kentucky, it's like 4-year-old food or a Subway box, and you're like, and everybody who comes in from other media members are like, why is this so bad? And I'm like, dude, I don't care. Like we get paid to watch a football game.
The banana pudding is what's going to make UK football win.
That's what I'm saying. That stuff doesn't matter. But I'm saying that why is it that Kentucky has to be the one that gets laughed at by everybody else? That's like, yeah, you all deal with this every week? And again, I'm not complaining about it. I don't care. That is, I'm paid to cover a football game. I don't care what they feed us. And at the Vanderbilt game, I didn't even eat the food we had already eaten. But I'm just saying, like, that's just another example of, it feels like we are cutting. We don't want to spend money. We are we look poor to all the other SEC teams who come in and cover Kentucky.
I want change with Mitch Barnhart, and hopefully, if Mitch Barnhart is out, some of those things change. If just 45-3, whatever the score was, 40-point deficit going into the fourth quarter. That's what I care about, not so much the banana pudding. But I hear you. I hear you. The banana pudding, no good. Our media members, they need better food, and I get the sentiment. Like how you do anything is how you do everything.
Yeah, I want to make this perfectly clear. I am not complaining about that at all. I make sure I eat before the games. The good food that they offer other places doesn't make me like, I'm not going, God, Kentucky, you should do this. But it is like when other teams come in, it is something that the other media members from the other schools do bring up because they're used to getting spoiled everywhere else.
Well, good. I don't want them to be comfortable. Good.
That's right. You're right.
More stop for you all.
That's that atmosphere you're talking about.
There you go. A texter says, Robert, he says would regarding Pavier's mom. Grow up, Robert. Okay, buddy? He says, no one's hated more than he who speaks the truth. That's from Plato.
Plato said that.
Plato said that, and then Robert said that regarding Diego Pavier.
And then she said that.
Grow up, buddy. A texter says, I was so incredibly disappointed by the performance on Saturday. I was somewhat going to be willing to give Stoops and Bush a chance of winning me back if we competed against Vandy, but unfortunately Stoops fell flat on his face. I'm just so over getting absolutely destroyed on primetime television by competent teams. Stoops gets cooked every single time. It's a joke. They pulled the broadcast. They moved UK off the station.
They never do that.
Like, that is so incredibly embarrassing, and everybody was just kind of reserved to be like, well, all right, go back and beat Louisville next week. Like, dude, that was Vandy. And I know it's a good Vandy team, and they are. They were legitimately good. But that was on national television. That was embarrassing. I'm over Stoops. Again, I understand if you beat Louisville, there's nothing that I can say or do, and understand that 6 wins with this schedule is going to move the needle for Mitch Barnhart. But anything less than that, how long are we putting up with it? How many years are we How many years are we going to waste? It's ridiculous. Another texter says, Matt Jones saying the money isn't there because the donors, the Crafts, like Stoops. Do we absolutely have to rely on the donors to pay for a buyout, or do we talk to Stoops into leaving or negotiate a better buyout? Where can UK get the money? That's from Brett. They'll find the money, all right, if they want to get rid of them. And then wasn't it a KSR report a month ago that the money was there? Didn't that get talked about? So what changed?
I guess he beat Auburn in Florida, and everyone was like, "Oh, well, then never mind."
So then people were like, "You know what?
Money disappeared. They spent their money on other things."
I was thinking about donating maybe $15 million, but now I'm not going to donate that $15 million. Well, okay, well, how did it feel losing by 40 on Saturday? No, not very good. Where are we at now? Can we check back in with the donors? I thought the money was there, and now the money's not there?
Yeah, that's... Yeah. The the interesting thing is that how much can we ask of the Crafts here? I mean, they do like Mark Stoops. I'm sure they don't want to spend $38 million to have him leave. I mean, it's just a bad contract, man. I mean, that's just not like paying it. I know it was an oversight that they kept his contract the same as it was when he first got there, when the buyout would have been much more reasonable to pay him in 60 days. Who goes through? Who's the lawyer that's supposed to go through this stuff and make sure that that's not in the contract? That's terrible.
That's more, terrible. Again, more on Mitch Barnhart. It's just I'm ready for something different at the tippy top, and I'm ready for something different at the football position as well. By the way, Karsten Bush, St. Xavier Tiger. Shout out to St. X. They beat Mayo. Struggled a little bit early on, but they got the win, and now it sets up a game where they will host Trinity this Friday at 5 o'clock. Weird time, weird location. But St. X, First Trinity, 6A semifinals. But Karsten Bush, he decommitted from U of L. So it's not we're at UK and saying like, oh, this stinks and change this or change that. It ain't so great at U of L either. They're losing commits. Bush decommits. I'd watch Vandy with that one. And that's embarrassing that U of L loses a commit from a guy at St. X, and UK is really not even going to be a player. UK did recruit him, has recruited him, but UK is not going to be a player with him. He's probably going to go to Vandy. So that's another issue that Mark Stoops has no answer for. Time and time again, the guy just has no answer. Another texter says, TJ, we all recognize Cutter is better than Miller Moss. Yes, he is. He is better than Miller Moss. John here, I'm so happy for my Chiefs. I agree with you guys this morning. Oh, no, that was, I agree with you guys this morning. No matter what, a win against U of L should not guarantee a Mark Stoops return. Hey, a little Chip Kelly, anyone? We'll got to go talk to you later. Absolutely not on Chip Kelly. Not sure what UK will do about Stoops in the future, but if all it takes for UK to beat U of L on Saturday for Stoops to come back every year, then every coach in the SEC is hoping that UK wins. I'm just telling you the realistic scenario there. All right, Peake, any last words, buddy? We did a good job on the text line.
Yeah, agree with that. Agree with the last texter there. I'm sure that they are. Yeah, it's but I want Kentucky to win.
Everybody have a great Monday. We'll all be back in studio again tomorrow, Tuesday. This is Kentucky Roll Call on Big X Sports Radio.